Hi, my name is Tiffany and this is Daniel. And we're back with Stunning Stays, and today we're going to talk about how do you determine if a property is right for short-term or long-term. Because we just got a referral and the owner was very excited to maybe try short-term, but he only had 50 grand. And when we looked at the pictures, we looked at it and we said, okay, landscaping. The landscaping was destroyed. It had a very cute bridge, but you would have been 20 to 50 grand in the landscaping alone. And then you went inside the house and it needed a remodel, and then it needed furnishings, and it all costs money. And so the owner was like, it'd be more than 50 grand? Yes. When you're talking about landscaping, furnishings, a remodel, you need a budget closer, depending on the size of the home. But this one we were looking at, it probably needed about $150,000, correct, Daniel?
Yeah. So it really depends on the client's budget. If they have a set price of I can't spend more than, say, $50,000 or $30,000, it may be unrealistic to actually set it up as a nice short-term rental that'll actually produce and perform well. And we don't want to have a failure of a property. So it really is important to factor in what is their budget, what is their goal with it, and whether they want consistency and what are the goals of the property to determine what's the best approach for that property.
Exactly. And there are different approaches you can take, but we have very high standards because in the short-term rental space, if you want to be successful and not somebody that just makes a little bit of money, you need to be willing to put money into the property and make it look top-notch. You're fighting against hotels when you're in the higher end, meaning what amenities do you have? Do you have enough amenities to bring the people there and they just want to stay at your property? You know, when you go to a hotel, they have pickleball courts, they have pools, they have all these things that make somebody stay at a property. Stay there. They want them to stay on site. That's the purpose of a hotel.
Yeah.
And so you're doing the exact same thing. And if you can create that and you create that well, then you have people that, like we've had reviews on multiple properties where they say, we've come and we don't leave the property because it has everything we need. And that's what you want when you're dealing with clientele, the clients and people that are coming to your properties.
This particular property that we're looking at where they suggested maybe running it as a short-term rental, it doesn't have certain amenities. It doesn't have a pool, doesn't have a hot tub. And the location was awesome though. It was over there by Pinnacle Peak in Scottsdale, North Scottsdale. But it doesn't have amenities. So unless this client has a budget of over $100,000 or has a budget to put in a pool or some amenities, it's not worth pursuing. And so his original idea was to do it long-term, unfurnished. And so we're advising him that unless he has a much higher budget, it's probably best to run it as a long-term unfurnished rental.
Yes, because a big question you have to ask, why is an individual going to come to your home instead of another location? Why does yours stand out? Why would someone come stay here over a hotel or another short-term rental? And so yours has to stand out above everybody else's because in Arizona, it's influx. I mean, you have a huge array of Airbnbs and VRBOs and hotels. So why would they come to stay at yours? So you have to offer something that says, wow. You have to offer things where people want to come to your place instead of others.
Absolutely. And if you don't have those things to offer, they're not going to come. They're not going to come there. This particular property was nearby a lot of resorts. In fact, we stayed at the Pinnacle Peak. I think it's just down the street from Four Seasons. But again, it doesn't have the amenities at all. It doesn't have the pool, it doesn't have a hot tub, doesn't have a sport court, doesn't have certain things that would attract guests. So you really got to look at what does it have to offer, to your point.
Now, if I were going to take on that home and the owner had the budget, first thing first, you would have a pool, you would have a pickleball court, you would have a putt-putt green. Yes, it costs a lot of money, but when you look at it, then you can charge a lot. And then you also have guests that give you 5-star reviews when in reality, what does that do? That brings more guests back. So you're making the money back. So that's how we analyze it. You got to analyze, why do they come to yours? Especially over another hotel that's right down the street that's Four Seasons, you know? And so if I'm going to take on a property or we're going to take on a property, it has to be something where it's, why will the guests come here? Does an owner understand that? Because, like it says, long-term and short-term are completely different. Short-term, you're getting the guests to come to you and then refer you and be like, okay, why are they coming to you? How do I get this guest to come to me over a 4-star, 5-star hotel or another Airbnb that offers everything?
Yeah, and this property, it's 2 acres, and
I would dream with this property.
And the location is awesome. But even though the location's awesome and it's 2 acres, if it doesn't look attractive and it doesn't have amenities, it's not going to perform well. So those are the things to look at.
Very important to look at. So the thing that it's important here is we have a very high standard for our short-term rental division, and it's because our guests expect a lot, but we expect a lot. And we want to give that experience. That's why we do short-term rentals.
Absolutely. We want to have a wonderful experience. It's got to be an experience when they come and stay at one of our homes for their vacation or their experience for staying there.
So we don't just bring anybody on. We discuss it with our clients, though. And that's what's important here is that as we were discussing this, we'll tell them how much it costs. And depending on the client, they can be a good short-term rental client, or we push them over to long-term, because long-term is a little bit different. You don't have to have all the amenities. It does not cost that much. You don't pay for internet and certain things. It's a long-term rental.
And we're not the best fit for all clients out there. We've looked at some clients and they weren't willing to do a couple changes that we suggested. We said, we're probably not the best fit. We're not the best fit because you're not willing to fix the barbecue, you're not willing to fix this thing or provide that thing. And that's okay. We're not the best fit, but we definitely have to have a high standard so that we can attract the right people and have a high reviews.
But that's why we have a 5.0 star review across the board on all of our properties, because we do have such a high standard. And dealing with clients, they need to understand that. And it's very important that you get the right clientele when we're dealing with short-term rentals to make sure that it becomes a win-win-win for the guests that come to our homes, for the clients to make money, and for us in the middle. And that's what's important when you're building these relationships.
Absolutely.